Criminologists have a very specific profile for female serial killers. Historically, they are categorized as black widows or angels of death. They tend to operate in domestic settings or hospitals, targeting people they know, and they almost always use poison. Aileen Wuornos was the radical exception to this rule. FBI profilers identify her as an extreme outlier in modern history. She is one of only 2 known women to operate entirely independently as a predatory serial killer. She didn't use domestic proximity or quiet substances. Instead, she carried a .22 caliber revolver and hunted male strangers along the highway corridors of Central Florida. To understand how she adopted hunting patterns typically reserved for male killers, we have to look at the collision between her environmental failure and a mind that was systematically broken from birth. Clinical psychopathy is measured using the PCLR, a 40-point checklist. A score of 30 or above indicates severe psychopathy. Wuornos scored 32. The assessment revealed a personality defined by aggressive narcissism, extreme impulsivity, and a total absence of empathy. These traits were forged in an environment of extreme volatility. Her mother abandoned her before she was a year old, leaving her in the care of an alcoholic grandfather who subjected her to years of physical and sexual abuse. Every social safety net failed her. By age 11, she was living in the woods and engaging in survival sex work just to afford food, completely detached from the traditional structures of society. Specialists who analyzed her case argue that her high psychopathy score was not a spontaneous defect. Instead, they trace her lack of empathy back to these early years, suggesting that a mind subjected to that much trauma is often forced to develop these predatory traits as a crude mechanism for survival. Between 1989 and 1990, she used a .22 caliber revolver to shoot 7 men point blank. She left their bodies in wooded areas along the Florida highways and stole their vehicles. Her initial defense was built on her history as a sex worker. She claimed every victim had attempted to rape or beat her, and that the killings were strictly acts of self-defense. But the evidence pointed elsewhere. Her later confessions and the forensic details suggested a pattern of calculated robbery and the deliberate elimination of witnesses. This remains the core forensic debate of her case, whether her violence was a product of trauma-induced hypervigilance or the actions of a cold-blooded psychopathic predator. Following her arrest, her status as a rare female predator transformed her into a media spectacle. She was no longer just a suspect. She was a commodity. The entertainment industry rushed to monetize the anomaly. Her crimes were turned into profitable books, documentaries, and eventually a major Hollywood film. Politicians also used the case to their advantage. Candidates used the high-profile nature of her crimes to reinforce their tough-on-crime platforms, turning her execution into a centerpiece of their election campaigns. While the outside world extracted value from her image, Wuornos deteriorated in total isolation. During her decade on death row, she developed severe delusions, claiming the state was using sonic waves to torture her. The mental strain eventually led her to fire her lawyers and drop all legal appeals. She chose to die simply because she could no longer endure the pain of solitary confinement. This highlights a grim irony. While media and political systems sold her story as a monster, the state held her in the very conditions of isolation that psychologists believe triggered her final mental fracture. Aileen Wuornos was executed by lethal injection in the state of Florida in October 2002. Her guilt is undeniable. She was an extremely dangerous individual who took the lives of 7 men and caused immeasurable suffering to their families. But she also serves as a mirror for the society that produced her. She was a killer forged by unchecked childhood abuse, ignored by every social safety net, and ultimately monetized by the same system that failed to protect her.